tranquility, sexy, moist, playful, naughty, inviting, curious, seductive. No. Yes. I am essence. I am power. I am body. The true eighth wonder of the world. Giant by Andre. Exclusively at the box score, which starts now.
I don't know a lot about sports, but I can drink a lot of beer.
My motto is simple. C's get degrees.
Need a long, inappropriate hug? I'm your man.
I think I'm smarter than you, because I probably am.
Howard Coward for box score.
Hello and welcome to the Box Score. I'm Brock in Los Angeles. They are the Danettes in Milford, Connecticut. Guys, Charles Barkley was on today, and it marked one of his more memorable appearances on the show. Paulie, how long have him and Dan been good buddies?
Oh, wow. Mid-90s, I'm going to guess. Dan was covering the NBA Finals a lot. I knew him then. Since the day I started the show, Barkley has been a regular. So much so, I mean, Barkley invited the entire crew, to his New Year's Eve party. I think 03 in Arizona. We're there for the Fiesta Bowl and the show. And he had a New Year's Eve party with just a small 30, 40 people, and we got to go to it. And he and Dan have been tight for as long as I can remember.
They are a funny, funny pair. Dan and Barkley started off talking about Shaq and Kobe, and Chuck, of course, came out swinging early.
Don't you get the feeling, Kobe wanted to show that he could do it on his own? And
Nobody does it on their own, Dan.
I know, but
Listen, stop being on ESPN. When you try to make guys feel bad, nobody does it on their own. LeBron's the greatest player in the game today. He didn't do it on his own. He had some help from Bosh and Dwayne. I mean, Michael Jordan, as great as he was, Scottie was terrific, Horace Grant was terrific, Robin was terrific. How many championships did Kobe win before Paul Gasol got there?
None.
None. I mean, nobody does it on their own. It's a team game.
Okay. So I misspoke. So
no, you didn't misspoke.
Kobe won.
You didn't misspeak. Dan, I got love for you.
The best. Of course, Charles was subtly trying to give the Danettes some love there. Because Dan, obviously, I think we talked about later in the segment, was trying to present himself as a one-man gang.
Just like you got those nerds behind you.
Yeah. But Charles is all in. I mean, I think Charles watches the show more than on occasion. So that was a message. I love it. He goes, Dan, you're not on ESPN. He he's got the good guys are us, and the bad guys are the First Take guys, which I know Charles is on record not liking them.
He's got certain words for Skip Bayless and some others.
Yeah,
he said about 4 or 5 times on today's show.
The best. Oh, I love it.
Hey, Fritzy, what dynamic duo in sports history do you wish had stayed together?
One that came to mind was Montana and Rice at the end there when Montana left. Rice stayed for a few more years in San Francisco, and Montana went on to the Chiefs.
But he had Young, though.
Yeah, but as far as the Montana Rice, I jotted down a few other ones. I did some research. What do you guys think of Shaq, Penny Hardaway from the Magic days?
Penny couldn't stay healthy.
Sean Kemp, Gary Payton, Sonics days.
Kemp got old.
KG and Marbury, T-Wolves.
Marbury stunk.
Vince Carter, T-Mac, Raptors. Dirk and Steve Nash, Mavericks.
That would have been fun.
Those were some of the other ones I thought I was.
What's that last thing you
got
in there?
That was Montana Rice. When Rice continued in San Francisco, then.
When did you write these down?
I wrote those down sometime during the show, and I got a heads up from a kind LA producer.
So during the show, our box score people are giving you assignments for another show during a live television show.
But to their credit, I could have, I guess, started
I wouldn't say
working.
Credit.
No, but I could have started working on it as soon as the show was over. But I wanted to get a jump on it during a couple of the commercial breaks. So I decided to.
Well, the commercial breaks are also on TV, though.
Yeah. Technically, I can't blame them. If anything, I could have waited till once the show was over and then spent.
I just blame them for how necessary that list really was. Actually, that's why.
The fact that I had to lose you for multiple, according to your report, breaks.
I took a couple of breaks.
I don't blame you, Todd, because you're a kind of guy. If you're asked to do something, you'll generally do it.
I didn't want
As a producer, like right now, Brock, if I ask you, go wash someone's car. That seems like something you shouldn't be doing during this show,
No,
right?
absolutely
You should be
not.
focused on the show you're doing.
Especially with the drought. I couldn't do that out here.
Right.
But we appreciate Fritzy doing that. That takes him away from, maybe some R-rated screens that he was looking at. So.
Sure.
All right, well, back to Chuckles, if I may. Chuck Wagon was recalling when he had to borrow money from agents back in college and talked about the tough financial road that would be ahead of him.
Probably the only mistake I made was I didn't sign with one of those 3 agents. I ended up signing with a scumbag agent. And I don't want to mention his name, Lance Lesnick. He stole all my money. He's a scumbag. If I see him this day, I'd blow his damn brains out.
How did he take all your money?
Well, back then, your agent got your paycheck. He gave you your allowance. And he, quote unquote, invested the rest of your money. I think I was getting $15,000 allowance. That came at the first of every month. And man, I didn't care about it. He said, I'm investing the rest. I'm like, okay. And after 4 years, I was broke, hadn't paid taxes.
You don't mean that you would shoot him?
Probably won't have a gun when I see him, but I'll probably beat his ass down like a dog.
There's a bunch of things there. First of all, Barkley, most guys don't admit gigantic NCAA violations on a national radio and TV show. Barkley told us the names and the amounts of the dollar amounts of agents he took money from, which is a pure NCAA violation. But he's like,
in
casual.
its purest form.
In its purest form, I took money from agents whilst at Auburn. And no one's going to even do anything with it. But then the part about, which I thought it was a good move by Dan, Barkley was just kind of spouting. And Dan goes, you wouldn't really shoot him. He goes, no, well, I wouldn't have a gun on me, but so I'd just kick his ass. But that's Barkley. I mean, I do understand, though, if someone stole my money and I didn't have a lot of money, when you're a rookie, you don't have a ton, I don't think you would ever get over that. And so it was out of nowhere. And Barkley goes, I'm not going to name names. And in my head, I went, and then he goes, Lance, and he started, like, oh my God.
So like 2 or 3 times.
Unbelievable, man, unbelievable.
That guy might be jumping into a bunker somewhere. See, would you rather have a Hall of Fame hoops career where you had nothing to show for it financially, or just have a standard 9-to-5er where you got a nice little paycheck every week?
So
I had a Hall of Fame career in the NBA, but I'm broke.
Like you're Antoine Walker, Vin Baker.
Or I could just
burn through all your money, I guess.
Work a normal 9-to-5 and make a decent living.
Yeah.
I'd probably rather make a decent living.
Yeah, but how much are you really going to make working a regular save? Nobody really saves anything.
But having a lot of money and then losing it sounds awful.
Oh, I see what you're getting at. But I still think you have all that glory of your playing.
I'm not interested. We are always on different sides of this. I'm not interested in glory whatsoever. I'm interested in dollars.
You're telling me, like, if you play pro basketball or you're 35, you have an 18-year span of your life where you can basically sleep with any woman on the planet.
Whoa.
For these
I'm not.
You don't want to be famous? You don't want
I don't.
meals?
And I've never had, like, I don't have that part of me that is like, I need to be famous and I need glory. I'm not into this whole glory thing.
But you wouldn't prefer to have women throwing themselves at your feet?
Well, just to be fair, when we were in our 20s, we could
would?
sleep with any woman in the world. It's just that they would sleep with us. But technically, we could have.
Yeah, you kind of have to.
I'm really
have a
just
mutual
interested in having a massive bank account at this point.
No, I know,
That's
but
really
he was
what I'm
sort of
interested in.
describing like a mailman job. He wasn't
But he said
describing
a decent living.
He said a 9-to-5 job. I think that describes.
So I can be super rich and famous for 18 years and then go to a normal 9-to-5 where I don't make any money, or I can just stick with my 9-to-5 and not make any money. I'll just stick with the 9-to-5.
Wow, that's interesting. I think.
Why be miserable for the rest of my life and be like, man, remember how awesome it used to be, and now this sucks. I gotta do this. Well, thanks.
I'm with you. I'm going to the 9-to-5er. Less workouts. All right, stay with us, or we're getting ready for college football next. Heading out to the tailgate. Hey, bring your Ram 1500 Eco Diesel. Throw the pop-up tent, the chairs, the grill, and it looks sexy out there. You're towing boats, hauling trailers, doing whatever you want to do, and get out to the stadium in the most fuel-efficient half-ton truck on the road. Get more facts at ramtrucks.com. Guts, glory, Ram. Welcome back to Box Score. Guys, college football is back. Finally, an excuse to get back in the bars. Paulie, give me an absolute must-see game for this weekend.
Well, since there's only one, Brock, I'm going to go with North Dakota State and Montana, the one and only college football game being played in our country. So I'm going to pick that one. I could break down some more, but I don't really have time.
Perfect. All right, well, you had Notre Dame's helmsman on, Brian Kelly. He joined the show today. McLovin, one of the top 3 most stressful coaching jobs in college?
Well, okay, full disclosure here. I was also given an assignment during the show.
You were.
But I completely
Where's
forgot.
your chart?
I completely forgot that I was given an assignment. And when Tom was reading his list, I tried to quickly brainstorm.
That's honest.
I think Nick Saban is hard because you can't afford to lose in Alabama. So I think it's a lot of pressure.
Right? If you're expected to Ohio State and Alabama.
I know this shows my bias. I have 3 that are immediately jumped out at me.
Well, you go ahead. Did you get this assignment too?
No, I didn't.
Well, please go ahead.
Notre Dame, Michigan, Ohio State. I think those are the 3 most difficult. Because I think more difficult than the SEC, because the SEC can recruit really well because it's the SEC. So even crappy SEC schools get good teams. Ohio State, Michigan, the rivalry, Notre Dame. There's a lot of more difficulty in those with all of the same expectations.
And there's a lot of impatience in recent years that they weren't what they used to be.
Yeah, they don't get a very long leash
to a
there.
smaller extent. It's like, you're supposed to be this great team. What happened to you? You better get this back on track.
Tiebreaker, what do you think? But I think Alabama's even more pressure than Ohio State. I think
Alabama. At Alabama, there's an insane amount of expectations that are. Yeah. It's a national championship or an off year. Those are the only 2 things that happen at Alabama.
Right.
And it's because Nick Saban made it that way, and it hasn't been that way. So, Bear Bryant didn't win every year. He won like 3, and so out of 30. I mean, he was at A&M for a long time too, but Nick Saban is in a kind of island to himself.
Pretty stressful there, I would assume, in Notre Dame. Coach Kelly was talking about this cost of attendance compensation and gave us some insight to what it's all about.
I think it gives them truly what the cost of attending it is relative to transportation costs. But it's still about college kids. Probably 30% of our kids don't even have the money that was allocated to them because they didn't bring back library books. They've got parking tickets. They didn't turn in their keys. They got all kinds of charges on their student account. So, that $900 that they were going to get is like $150 right now. So typical college, you didn't pay your bills, and that stipend check now is $150. So I don't think it's going any further than cost of attendance, and I think that's where it should be.
Yeah, I tend to agree with Coach. If you got to be careful of how far you're going to go with how much money you're going to give, and I think it's a pretty big deal that it's gone this far that they've agreed to stipends. You could argue about whether it's enough money on top of the scholarships or not, but you're starting to get into that gray area which we've been talking about in recent days. You start giving them more money, and then the better players get more, and this one gets less, or this sport is more important than that sport. So these athletes that are playing football or basketball, whatever, are going to get this amount, and someone on the volleyball, lacrosse teams going to get less, depending on how much revenue or importance they think they are to their individual universities. So, I agree with Coach Kelly. They got the stipends, that's enough, and then they just go from there.
Yeah, as long as they're not fining these kids, that seems a little bit outrageous. Well, we were wondering what it would be like if our parents had fined us for crap we did as kids. What would they have thrown the book at us for? Well, amazingly, we heard from Mama O'Connor, and she sent us an email about little Seton. Said that he used to apparently throw some temper tantrums, and the behavior modification was to have him sit in the living room with his hands folded, which he hated because he didn't know how to fold his hands. Ouch. And maybe the print's too small, but I'll read this for you. Seton once got his mouth washed out with soap. She asked him to come home for dinner, and he yelled, "F you, Mom." Seton, what the hell?
Wow. No way.
All right, I got a question. Were you 8 or 18 when this incident happened?
Oh, much closer. I was probably more like 8, maybe even younger.
All right, you can wink at that a little bit because you don't realize maybe the magnitude of what you just said.
Yeah, all right. Wow, that's funny. My memory of the story, I believe my mom's memory a lot more than I do, but I thought that I gave her the finger. Either way, it's the same sentiment. Yeah, I do. I remember that I was in the park and my mom was in the upstairs window and she yelled to come in for dinner, and I either gave her the middle finger or I yelled, "You, Mom."
You did a public F you, Mom.
Yeah, there was kids in the park. And I distinctly remember Brian Wonko putting me up to it and being like, "You should do this." He was an older kid, and I guess it seemed like a good idea.
Did Wonko ever get hit for this?
Yeah,
you're kind of selling him out now.
Yeah, Brian Wonko may have gotten in further trouble. I'm not really sure. He didn't get in trouble for that.
Did you get to pick your weapon, Lux or Dove, Irish Spring?
No, and I remember it. I remember seeing my mom's face after that happened, and it just turned like, "What's wrong with you?" And she came in. She got me in the house, and I used to always get a bar of soap in my mouth, but we didn't have bar soap, and she put liquid soap in my mouth, and it bubbled up, and it was awful. It's like,
that'll get the point across.
It was truly terrible.
Oh, dude. I'm light. I'm thinking about doing that to my mother with my dad in the vicinity. I'm lightheaded thinking about what the punishment would be. My dad didn't play. Oh my God.
It was a terrible moment, and I was young. I think I was probably playing with a fire truck at the time, so I must have been been like, I don't know, 5.
Was that the last?
maybe?
Did the message come across? Did you not do it ever again after that, or did it ever?
I don't
slip
believe
out
I
after
ever
that?
said those words to my mother again. You might have to reach out to her and see if that happened in my teen years. I got a little loose. But yeah, that was awful. That was truly awful.
Oh,
Sorry, Mom.
Yeah, well, God bless Mama O'Connor. My mom, it was always physical. Hugs, I think. She knocked the crap out of me. What the hell am I talking about? All right, stay with us. It is getting musky here on the Box Score.
All I do is I tell Mariota, I have him study Russell Wilson's ability to extend a play and be smart.
Right. Yeah.
And if he needs to buy this miracle water and drink that after every hit, then
Wouldn't
that's
you just
what-
pour it all over your players? Like just douse them with it? Just all over you, right? Can't just soak it in?
Yeah.
What is it, osmosis, McLovin?
Welcome back to Box Score. Guys, lately we have been obsessing over Russell Wilson's product endorsement of a magical concussion water. While that may sound absolutely ridiculous, it did get us talking about other non-related ridiculous sports endorsements, in particular, Cologne. So I'm going to test your knowledge, see if you guys can match the athlete to the cologne. In a game we call Bartolo Cologne, the scent of sport. We will divide the teams up. As such, we're going to switch up. We'll have Todd and Paulie against Pearl and Seton. I will give you 3.
I got the sure thing here, Mr. Cologne.
Yeah. I'll give you the athlete and 3 colognes. 2 are fake. And there are steals. Here we go. Starting with Team Pearl Trick. The athlete in question is Chris Paul. Is it Charge, Untouchable, or Splash?
Untouchable.
It's got to be untouchable.
Is it? Or is he famous for like a little floater splash?
It's not going to be Charge, so we'll take that out.
It's Charge is out. It's definitely not Charge.
Would you really be able to look yourself in the face if you had a cologne called Splash?
Not really.
Let's go with
But
that.
then again, isn't
Untouchable
untouchable
much
the
better.
bad message like that you put on cologne to be more
Yeah.
attractive, thus being touched? Let's go to an
Interesting way of looking
anti-messaging.
at it.
Now, let's go. Yeah, well, what do you want to go with? I don't care.
Or no other cologne can. touch it.
Let's go with untouchable. That was our gut.
Let's go untouchable.
Your gut is correct, and you might be untouchable after you put this stuff on. Untouchable.
Wow, it looks like deodorant.
Team Tolly is up next. If you wanted to smell like David Beckham, would you wear Intimately Yours, Maestro, or Touch?
Jeez.
Can't be A.
Fritzy, I'm going to get your guess first before I guess.
I was leaning towards C. Was the first thing that came to mind.
I think
just by the process of elimination.
I think it's C because he's known as a passer.
Right.
One touch guy, so we're going to go with touch. C.
All right, the other team can steal.
Oh! We're going to go with Intimately Yours.
Okay, perfect. Yes,
Yeah.
of course, it's Intimately Yours because it threw up on the screen. Congratulations.
That's a fantastic hint.
Yes!
Yeah. Sounds like.
Intimately Yours. That's so weak.
All right, there we go.
Awesome timing.
All
Team
right, ready
Pearl
to
Trick.
take two.
I can't believe he would.
Wipe, animate gold.
Seton. Seton, I'm assuming you own this one. It's Derek Jeter's cologne. Is it Captain, Driven, or Number 2?
Ooh, I wish it was number 2.
That'd be great.
I wish that's Fritzy's. I'm sorry, that was too. I'm
No,
sorry.
but that's that would be kind of that would be a very bad choice.
I believe, although I think it's
Tailhound.
actually Drive-In.
Okay.
Drive-In.
Yeah, you are absolutely correct. It is Drive-In Driven.
Too weird.
Number
I think
2.
that's
Number 2.
Awful.
Smell like
Derek.
Number 2.
Intimately Yours. I still can't get over that. It's
Do
so
number
bad.
2.
Team Dollies.
All over me.
Whoop, whoop. Steamroller, here we go. Paulie, here's one for your wheelhouse. It's Carl Edwards cologne. Is it Checkered, Turn 4X2, or Nitro?
Ooh, Turd 4XT is nice. If that's fake, I
Didn't do it
give
right.
a lot of credit to the person who.
Man.
Checkered sounds like a checkered past. There's something questionable about you. So I can't imagine he'd go checkered. But I didn't think Beckham would go Intimately Yours.
Did you mind showing us the picture real quick? And
Of the actual cologne? Yeah, you gave them one.
Can you show us the bottle,
You
please?
showed them a
Yeah,
picture of
just,
Intimately Yours. I thought it was Nitro, but it would be nice to just get the picture.
Let's
with
go
Nitro.
turn 4XT.
Yes, you're absolutely correct. Turn 4XT.
Yeah.
Nobody there is creative
Yeah.
enough to come up with that.
No chance.
No.
What does 4XT mean? Should I know?
Our
that?
winners are Pearl Trick, so congratulations. Run out to your Ross or Marshalls and grab those colognes today. This is the Box Score, and we are taking a break to remind you. We smell like all these things. No, it's the Ram Heavy Duty. It's best-in-class towing, torque, and horsepower. Smells delightful. Smells like new truck. Smells like something you should get into. It's driven. Guts Glory Ram.
Come on out to the desert. You can stay at the Barkley compound.
Maybe, how about if I did the show at your house?
If you do the show from my house, I tell you what, Dan.
Okay.
You got my word. If you want it, I got a big backyard.
Yeah.
I got a guest house. I got a driving range. I got a tennis court. I got a swimming pool. I got a basketball court. We'll do the show from my basketball court. How about that?
Welcome back to the Box Score. Well, you heard it here first. Dan Patrick and the boys have an open invite to the Barkley compound. Seton, what is the process like setting up for a week on the road?
Well, that's interesting. I don't know. Because we don't do them. So
worms.
Usually there's like for the Super Bowl, which is the week we do on the road, or like when we go to Los Angeles, there's a lot of other people working on stuff to make that happen.
We would need to do a site survey at Barkley's house, probably knock it down and build a new house that matches kind of what we want to do, and then take the show there for one day.
Yeah.
Paula, you guys have had a lot of invites from a lot of different people. If you had your wish, which house would you like to go to?
You know, all of them, actually. You know, we actually discussed, in all seriousness, we discussed going to Jose Canseco's house, but the management at ESPN at the time thought it would be in bad taste, and they were probably right. We've been invited to Dale Jr.'s. He's got like a western town behind his home, and it's pretty awesome. I've seen it on TV. I think that would be a great one, because a lot of other NASCAR drivers live within the 20-mile radius there. I think we could get any NASCAR person we wanted on that show. I think that'd be good. Same thing with Barkley. Barkley, I think, excites me from the fact that he's such a great guy, and him and Dan co-hosting the show, which they've done before. Barkley co-hosted the show with Dan in Dayton, Ohio in summer of '02, and it was fantastic. But I think, in my mind, Barkley would get the big fish that we all wanted. I'm not going to say the name. We've all wanted in history of the show to call in when he's co-hosting with Dan, to me, which is reason enough to do whatever it takes to get out there and do the show at Barkley's house. Because if this person would call in for 15 minutes, it would be all time.
We should get Lester Schlesack, or whatever his name was, the agent, to show up there and give him back his 15 grand or whatever it was.
Drama. two segments with Lance Schlesack.
Yeah, I like where your head's at. Him, Charles is beating his ass out there at the tennis court. Fritzy, maybe you can book him next week. Who's on next week?
I could use Charles Barkley to help book Monday's show. Monday is wide open.
Yeah,
but
it's just open. It's not wide open. You always make it seem
it's
more
open,
drastic
right?
than it is.
We have this many opportunities between now and
Why
Monday.
don't you just say Monday's going to be a freaking kick-ass show like all the other shows?
Monday is going to be a kick-ass show like all the other shows,
There you
whether
go.
we have no guests, one guest, or 15 guests.
There you go.
Andrew Luck, Peyton Manning, Kirk Herbstreit, Marshall Faulk will be among next week's guests. None of them will appear on Monday. But regardless of how many guests we have or don't have, Monday is worth tuning in for.
That's right.
Yeah, he said it with a straight face, but you know his ulcer is bubbling down below. All right, we are back next week on Monday at 3 p.m. Eastern right here on Audience Channel 239. The podcast is available on iTunes or podcast1.com. Have a great weekend.
I don't know a lot about sports, but I can drink a lot of beer.
My motto is simple. C's get degrees.
Need a long, inappropriate hug? I'm your man.
I think I'm smarter than you, because I probably am.
Hey, thanks for watching the Box Score. Holy cow!